Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for TWiT specials is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is TWiT Live special number 310, recorded October 27th, 2016, Apple's October event. This TWiT Live special is brought to you by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your home. Go to ring.com/twit and get $150 off a Ring of Security kit with their limited time offer. Welcome to TWiT Live specials. We're here today because Apple is going to bless us, hopefully, with some new Macs. It's about time.
It is.
I am Megan Maroney.
I'm Jason Howell, and separating us, right in between us, Andy Ihnatko. How's it going, Andy?
Pretty good. I'm just thinking, after what Megan said, I'm thinking about the times in like middle school when two of the big crazy kids in recess would knock me down and like hold my shoulders down and bless me repeatedly until the bell rang. But okay.
Right. That's true. We did a first take where I called you the Honorable Andy Ihnatko. And yesterday on MacBook Weekly, you talked about a lot of this stuff. Leo said you were going to be anchoring this, and you took that to mean anchoring, like bringing it down. So that's what we expect from you, Andy.
I expect more than that. Before the event begins, are we excited about the things that we've already heard? Because I feel like these announcements happen and we already feel like we arrived at the party knowing all the surprises. We know some of the surprises today with the OLED panel on the MacBook Pro. What else have we heard? I feel like most of the stuff that I've heard in advance has been about the MacBook Pro. What else is there?
Not a whole lot. We've heard stuff. Basically, a lot of stuff got broken from that photo of the new MacBook Pro that was included with thoughtfully with Monday's OS release. So we are anticipating it's going to have the same flat keyboard as the MacBook Nothing did a couple years ago. That's going to have a really cool hinge. That's going to have speakers to the left and the right. Not much clearance on the sides of the keyboard. So maybe something in a smaller form factor, even though it still might have a larger size screen. So the hardware is going to be really the big announcement. We're also anticipating new updates to how we see programming on the Apple TV. Something where instead of having all of your different content channels sort of in different apps, the idea of being able to have something akin to a program guide where you'll see every single live thing that's coming at the same time. So you can basically pick what it is, no matter what channel it's on.
Yeah, Recode had that yesterday, kind of ahead of the event, and also included that Netflix would not be a part
having a
of
disability
this index,
is a barrier.
which be kind of a big one to be omitted. But I suppose they're not really live necessarily.
But that's not the way I see it.
All right.
Yep.
You
That's
can
interesting. We're
catch up with
starting the
friends.
same way that the Microsoft event started
You
yesterday,
can capture a moment
where
with your
they opened with a
family.
video where engineers at Microsoft who are working on assistive technologies got the center
And
stage.
you can start the day bright and early.
So we seem to see the same thing right here, only with the users, not the engineers.
You can take a trip to somewhere new.
I'm glad we're seeing some focus on this. We might get really excited about, oh, isn't it great there's no bezel? Oh, isn't it great that this is no longer a physical button? But we have to understand that when you make a part of the keyboard like an OLED instead of an actual tactile button, that can have some effects on people who use computers differently.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
can
Apple's
take the
really good
long way
about this. And
home.
I mean, I get reminded from viewers all the time about the accessibility features and how they use them. And it's always great to hear about that. Of course, the Apple Watch has the, they took away
Or
stand up,
edit a
added,
film.
also roll for people in wheelchairs.
Like this one. When technology is designed for everyone, it lets anyone do what they love, including me.
Yeah, I know him. That's Tim Cook. Is that his name?
And your Minnesota Vikings take the field.
Morning. Good morning.
And it's most of the big
Thank you.
presenters sitting in the front row.
Thank you. I see a few iPhones out there. Thank you. Welcome back to the Apple campus, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. I could not be prouder to share that video with you this morning. Our teams work so incredibly hard to make all of our products accessible to everyone. And today, we're launching a new accessibility website. It's all about the accessibility features that we've designed and built right into our products. We believe that technology should be accessible to everyone. And we hope that this website becomes a great resource that people can use all around the world. We believe that if people have access to our products, they can push humanity forward and change the world a bit in the process. It's incredibly humbling to see the amazing things people do with our products every day. We've got, thank you.
So the website's showing off the features, but is it actually helping people?
We've got some great new products to share with you this morning.
I think Apple does a much better job of making those features useful than, let's say, Google does with its products. Feels like an afterthought on the Google side, so I always appreciate Apple's dedication.
Of course, we just launched the iPhone 7 last month, and people
but again,
are loving it.
Seems like an advertisement as opposed to
like this
pushing accessibility forward.
For sure.
Which seems to say
I mean, Microsoft also has an accessibility website. Also, partly for PR, but
I couldn't have said it better
also
myself.
shows off the accessibility features they have.
More importantly, the customer response has been very strong. iPhone 7 makes the things that you do every day so much better. And one of those very important things is taking great photos. Customers have been using the iPhone 7 camera, and they are so excited, they've been sending us some of the photos they've taken. I'd love to share some with you this morning.
Did you send in some of your portrait photos, Megan?
I didn't.
Oh.
Still perfect.
As well as this. And this one. They are absolutely beautiful. And this is just a very small selection. iPhone 7 takes incredible photos. But it's not just about taking great photos. The fun is going back and enjoying them and sharing them with your friends and family.
This is all stuff that has, of course, been
announced,
but
much easier
when you have everyone's attention, you want to help sell more phones for the holidays.
Which automatically gives you new memories every day right from your photo library. This is a new feature.
I mean, there's a new MacBook, but it's not like people are buying those for Christmas.
400 million memories have been viewed and enjoyed by iPhone users. This is the best camera, the best photo experience, and the best iPhone we've ever made. iPhone 7 is powered by iOS 10.
I should say that it's when you have a smaller event like this, I think this is in Town Hall, there are always a number of Apple employees that are there because, you know, the company likes to share like the big moments with people who helped work with it. But realize that they're apt to applaud and cheer more, but that means that now a larger percentage of the crowd is applauding and cheering. So it kind of changes the vibe a little bit.
In fact, in just over a month, over 60% of our customers are already using iOS 10. And in contrast, the other guys that shipped before iOS 10 are not even at 1% yet.
He usually doesn't do
Of course, the reality is
other guys, though, he didn't actually say the word.
It's stupid because, you know, the Android space is people who have $30 phones and $40 phones that weren't really intended or are able to run the new OS. So he's basically boasting about the fact that lots and lots of people who run Android can't afford to own iPhones.
Perhaps the best feature is portrait
They should
mode
really stop boasting about that. It's nothing to boast about.
Plus, which offers a depth effect to your photos. So the person in the foreground is so sharp.
I'm crazy about the portrait mode. I've been taking pictures of everyone.
If you haven't
With
seen
it.
it, it's awesome.
How have the edges been
guess
around the
what?
foreground to
So many
background? Because I
customers
find
have
that
been
ends up being
sending
kind of
us
the
some of the
failure
portraits they've
of those
taken.
types of
And
approaches.
I'm really pleased
Yeah,
to
I
share
haven't
some
seen
with
any
you this
problems.
morning.
I know Josh had some problems
Like
with
this
his
one.
bird, taking a picture of his bird.
Well, look at all the
And
demo
this one.
photos. It's always someone who's filling the foreground,
Right.
And deep
And this
background. Always does really, really well with humans that are set up that way.
Yeah.
When it's a little
And
bit more
this one.
complicated to figure out what is in the foreground and what is a human,
are
that's when you see
just
blurry
stunning.
edges and
Right.
some
It's
a lot of
amazing
mistakes.
you can do
Right.
this.
I don't think that's Apple's fault
Now,
though.
if you haven't
I
checked
think
out
that
portrait
they call
mode
it
yet
portrait mode,
with
so it
your
really is
iPhone
optimized
7
for a specific
Plus, I
kind of
encourage you
picture.
to do it. It's really awesome. This is a huge feature.
Yeah.
Also this week,
I think
Apple Pay kicked off
this
in
content
Japan
is
with
kind
iPhone
of portraying the
7
fact that they
and
don't
the
have a
Apple Watch
whole lot to
Series
announce.
2.
So since you
So
got
now
people
our
here for an
customers in
hour, you may as
Japan
well
can use their iPhone 7
talk about this
and
stuff
their
too.
Apple Watch Series 2 for transit,
Especially because
and
so
for
many
making payments.
articles,
This is a huge deal
you know,
in
people
Japan
covering the
because
event.
every day
This is going to
there's
guarantee
over
almost a secondary,
160
like initial
million
article, like
contactless
Apple started with
transactions
stats, and this is how great things
And
are going. You know,
we are
before they get
offering
to their other articles, so
the
it almost
best
promises more
experience
coverage.
by far.
Yeah.
Now, we've also
Also, this is a good time to talk a lot about Apple Pay. Apple Pay is going to be a big part of Apple's business.
With iOS 10.1. And this provides extensive coverage all across Japan, and it has very detailed underground layouts. It's really cool. And so we've included cool new features with this, like local signs and fare comparisons.
Apps
which
have
is
mid
far
such
beyond
big
what other
leaps
folks
since
are
it was
doing.
that stumble in the early
So
start.
this is now the best and
The
easiest way
product
to
has
get
had
around
the product
in
has had to
Japan.
learn that you can get
The new
90%
Apple
of the way
Watch
really
has
quickly.
also
The last
gotten off to an amazing
10%,
start.
particularly when you're
And
dealing with like
watchOS
the
3
Japanese subway
makes the
system,
watch
that's the stuff that
so much
you're going to be working
simpler
on to the rest of your life.
and faster. And we've been hearing the same great response from reviewers with the watch. Like Digital Trends, who says the Apple Watch is the best smartwatch you can buy. It's simply the best by far. And the Wall Street Journal, which said it can help you on your path to becoming a healthier human. As you know, we designed the Apple Watch to be the ultimate device for a healthy life. And we've been working with Nike to provide the best running experience out there.
Supposed to release tomorrow. I think, right?
Tomorrow,
Well, there we
Apple
go.
Watch Nike Plus is available, and we think runners around the world are going to love it. So as you can tell, it's been a pretty busy week around here. But we have
It's now maybe
more
we're-
to announce today. And I'd like to start with Apple TV.
A little bit about this guide app.
With Apple TV, we want the experience on your television to be as great as the experience across your Apple devices. And so when we launched the new Apple TV, we launched with a clear vision. We believe the future of TV is apps. So how are we doing on this? Well, our developers now have access to the biggest screen in your home, and in just a year, we now have 8,000 apps, and they're across every category, from lifestyle to learning to fitness to shopping to food, and over 2,000 games, with some amazing titles like Real Racing 3. Now, these games keep coming, new games keep coming,
When
and
they talk about
there's
Apple
a
TV,
very popular
they
one
try to
coming
keep
before the
the
end of the
Xbox
year,
out of
and
the
that
conversation.
is Minecraft.
Because that's one area they really can't compete with. It's a totally different perspective. So they try to make it
now
distinct as this is
you
your
can
new
build
TV
worlds
set,
on your
not
Apple
your new
TV
entertainment
and play
computer.
with your friends on their iPads and iPhones. It's going to be really fun. Our customers also love
Minecraft
watching
coming
their
is really
favorite
big, though.
TV
Did he say
shows
when
on
it was
TV,
gonna come?
like Mr. Robot.
In here.
And in fact, we now have over 1,600 apps from video content providers for you to enjoy. This is absolutely incredible. And it's an amazing amount of content that's available to you. In addition to your favorite TV shows, you can watch some incredible movies like Finding Dory.
I'll be watching that
You
tomorrow.
can watch live and on-demand news. You can even watch live sports and so much more. In fact, there's a new category of apps emerging, that combine the power of Apple TV to make watching video more interesting, interactive, and social.
Twitter's video
And we have an
platform,
example
obviously.
of that to show you this morning. And to do that, I'd like to invite Ryan Troy from Twitter to show us what we're talking about. Ryan?
Yeah, I watch. I watch the debates on my Apple TV through Twitter. I could watch Thursday Night Football.
Joining me today
if I
is
wanted
our
to
product
watch
designer, Jose Hernandez.
I think they
Today
just
we're
said
going to show the
Minecraft is
future
coming. No date.
of video made possible by Twitter on Apple TV. Let's jump in and watch Thursday Night Football. Fans love watching their favorite live sports on the largest screen in the house, sending millions of tweets a day from their iPhones and iPads. With a simple swipe on the incredible Siri remote, we can bring that conversation in to make viewing more entertaining with tweets from athletes and more insightful with stats from journalists. Oh, it looks like the Bears have recovered in the end zone. Now, the Twitter timeline comes alive to show immediate reactions. That pretty much sums up my fantasy team this year.
Where do they find
Tweets
a
also
stream where no
include
one's
video
cursing?
replays.
Yeah, well, I was just about to say, like, I know anytime
periscopes
I've
from
checked
different
out
vantage
content on
points.
Twitter video, I mean, you
Freaking
don't,
This is a great
you
way
don't
to
get a
watch TV.
curated feed. You get, like,
With that
literally
touchdown,
everything.
I think the Bears might be able to
that
win this
matches
on
that
defense
content. That
alone.
could be super noisy. This looks a lot more trimmed
At
down.
critical
I
moments
don't know if I've ever
in the
seen
game
it this
like
trim.
this,
I think
audience
this is something
polls
that's
let
coming because you
Jose
can't right now.
weigh
You
in
can't
on the
get your Twitter
situation.
feed next to NFL football.
Once he's voted,
on Apple
live
TV
results
right now.
show up instantly.
Well,
Now,
That's something that would
Jose
happen
sees some candor
integrated
that
with
he
the
wants
app.
to respond
Sure.
to. Apple
So,
TV makes it easy for
we're
him
not
to
talking
send
about
that
like a
tweet
Google TV
to
sort of
his
thing where it'll be a
iPhone
pain that
so he
goes
can join the
alongside everything you do.
conversation. Let's see how he responds.
And again, the Bears had gone 35 games.
Strong choice. In addition to NFL Thursday Night Football, Twitter is very excited to offer free premium sports content from the NHL and NBA, news from Bloomberg, and election night coverage from BuzzFeed. We're merging live video, social, sports, and news in an interactive format not possible before Twitter on Apple TV.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see
What's
why
happening.
a lot of these
Thank
networks
you.
are so hostile about allowing GIFs and clips to appear on social media because they want that stream to appear through their apps, not through
Thank
ESPN.com
you,
or
Ryan.
some sports blogs.
This is a great
stream.
example of the power of Apple TV and how apps are changing the way that we enjoy television. Now, in fact, so we now have so many great
For those
apps.
keeping track, Jim
and each of
Dalrymple
these
is
apps has an
spotted.
incredible
Jim
amount
and his
of
beard.
amazing content. With Siri and Universal
It's kind of fun
Search,
to
we've
look at the
made it
crowd.
easy
It's
to
also like
search
if I had
across your
the
apps.
AirPods,
But
I'd be
Universal
making sure I'm wearing them
Search
so I
was
could just
just
show
the
off to the
beginning
entire
for
world.
us.
Oh yeah, I'm one of those people who got
We
like a
want to
preview set of
do
earbuds,
even
and
more
even
to
though it's been
make this
delayed, yeah, I'm
experience
special.
even better.
Yeah, I'm one of those that only has one in my ear because the other one
want
fell out somewhere. I don't know where it
Apple
went.
TV to be the one place to access all of your television. A unified TV experience. That's one place to access all of your TV shows and movies. One place to discover great new content to watch.
This is very, very smart for
So
anybody
today,
because instead of
we're
making it
announcing
HDMI 2,
a new app,
Yeah.
and we simply call it TV.
now anybody calling it TV gets sued.
It will completely change how you watch TV with your Apple TV as well as your iPhone and iPad. But rather than talk about it,
You really, really
just
win
like
if you make
to
your
show
streaming
you.
box replace
And
the
to do
cable
that,
box, where
I'd
that's
like
just
to
the
bring up
default
Jen
thing that people
Foltz,
flip
a
on when
senior
they don't
designer
necessarily know they
on
want to.
Apple TV to show you all about it. Jen?
They want to.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. We see a non-dude
The
in
new
an Apple
TV
stage.
app is the first place I go when I turn on my Apple TV. It brings the shows and movies from all my video apps all into one place. So I start off in Watch Now, where the focus is on Up Next. It has all the TV shows and movies that I'm currently watching from across all of my apps. You can see what's up next along the bottom and get a little more context for each in the top right. So for example, I bought Sing Street on iTunes, but didn't finish
Of
watching.
course, the odd thing is
And as
this
you
kind
can
of
see,
replicates
up next,
what you see
lets
when
me
you launch the
continue from where
YouTube
I
app.
left off.
It shows you, here's the stuff that you've
For
been
shows that I'm
watching.
binging on,
In the
like
next,
Homeland on Showtime,
in the next line,
episode is
here
right
are
here,
updates to your
ready for me to
subscription. So basically,
start.
new episodes have just appeared and are
And
available.
for currently airing shows that I'm watching, like The
Well,
Big
this is
Bang
meant to
Theory on
be
CBS,
all-inclusive,
Up
right?
up next
Everything
shows
that
me
you
the
have
newest
on the
episode
device. So
once it's available.
If it includes
it's so great
Netflix
to finally
and
have
Amazon
one
Prime.
place to go for
Right now,
everything I'm
it includes
watching.
Netflix, but it
But
doesn't,
it doesn't end there.
include
When I
Amazon
want to
Prime.
discover
So, like, I
something
have to
new,
use my Roku,
I just swipe
like a
down.
cave
That's
person
where it all
to
falls
watch.
apart.
Our
right?
editors
Amazon
have
Prime.
selected the absolute best content and showcase it in what to watch.
Well, the rumors is
and
that
the TV
Netflix
and
does
movies
not
spot.
work
not,
with this
yeah.
yet.
And since
Yeah.
all of this is content from
But I'm
my
talking about
app,
the basic,
it means
the basic
I can
idea
just
of
play
instead of
everything
having
I
like
see
a
here.
springboard type app launcher,
I can choose
let's
to browse
focus
by
on
category,
you launch your Apple TV and here are
or
things
get
that
a
are
look
available
even
right now
further
to
into the
watch, no matter what
catalog
app they're in.
available to me
That's a
through these
really nice thing.
hand-curated collections. So
Man,
if you're one
Android
that
TV
hasn't seen Game of
promised
Thrones yet,
this.
now's a
Promised
great
this a
time
year
to
and a
start.
half
And
ago,
with
2 years
Watch
ago,
Now,
whenever they
I just
announced it. I
click
can't
play.
remember at this point. And, you
I'm
know, kind of
taken
like
straight
universal
to
search
HBO
across
now,
all
and the
apps,
show
universal
starts.
access to the things you want to watch next based on what's installed on your device. I'm not sure if it totally delivered on that. Some
So
people would
since I'm
probably
watching
contest that.
in
but
HBO Now, pressing
it's
menu
not seamless and it's not
takes me
perfect.
to the show details
Yeah.
from within the app.
I have an Android TV
and I can get back
downstairs.
to
It works
TV
pretty
just by
well,
pressing the
but
TV
it's
button.
not.
As you can see,
it's not
Game of
as
Thrones was
good as,
automatically added to the front.
It's not
of
as
Up
good as
Next.
this, I think. It's
So
not as good as
easy
the
for me to
YouTube
pick up
front page,
later.
for instance.
Sure.
This really does
So that's
reflect
Watch
the different.
Now. It's
Compare
the
what
best
they're
place
talking
for me
about last year to
continue
this year.
watching and browse
They
new
realize that
TV shows and
people
movies
do not
across my
instinctively
apps.
plop down the TV and pick
Now,
some
moving over
apps
to the
to
library view,
launch.
I have all of
Right.
my
They really
iTunes
just want to
purchases
see
and rentals
content.
all in one
There's a
place.
thing that they sat down
And
to
now you
watch
get a sneak
specifically.
peek at some of my
Show me
guilty
that.
or
pleasures,
even,
like the
or
Real
even they don't
Housewives.
even, they didn't say,
True story.
I'm going to now search for the next,
When
the
I'm in
newest
the mood for
episode
something
of British
completely
Baking
new,
Show.
I head over to
It's
the
they plop down and say, oh
where I
wow,
can
look, there's a new
explore
episode of British
great
Baking
new
Show.
content to
Oh, what's
add
that?
to watch now. There's new movies available from iTunes.
So being able to search
and
by
all of
voice, I
these
don't think
apps
that's
that
a
I can just sign up to
really
access.
impressive,
So
really
when I
useful
find one
feature
that I
is.
like, I can just click to install. In just a few seconds, the app installs on my Apple TV, and it will
That's nice.
automatically download to all of my other devices, so I can watch wherever I want.
So it's even showing you stuff that you can't watch because
So
you don't have
here
the right
within
app installed.
Stars, I can easily sign up, or if I'm
That could
already
be pretty nice. That
authenticated
could also
using
be kind of
Apple's new
noisy
single
depending
sign-on
on, you
feature,
know,
Yeah.
I'll
like, do I really
instantly
want to
get
sign up for a
access
Stars
to all the great
subscription? Don't show
content
me
they
the things from
have right
Stars,
here in the
please.
app.
You know.
Yeah,
And when
I'd be
I go
really
back
excited to find out.
TV,
Oh my God,
I can
Zootopia
see
is
that
on
Watch
Netflix.
Now
Right.
has
Oh wait, no,
automatically
it's
been
it's
updated
telling me
as
about
well
something
to
that I can buy
include
for
the best of
$5 or
Stars,
Yeah.
for
like
$20 a
Power
month.
and Star Wars:
Yeah,
The Force
precisely.
Awakens. And the TV app doesn't just work on my Apple TV. It's on my iPhone and iPad as well, which is great for when I'm on the road or just relaxing in my backyard.
And now
So
you have
let's
new
switch to my
app
iPad.
icons installed on the device where you
So
can't
here's the new
hide any
TV
app
app.
icons.
It has everything that was in the previous Videos app right here in my library, and we've added all the same features I just showed on Apple TV, including Watch Now. So in Up Next, you can see that Game of Thrones episode we just played, as well as all my other shows and movies.
She keeps
and
saying
we have all
all,
that
but
same
I don't
great
see Netflix
curated
there
content
or
as
Amazon
well.
Prime.
Right.
Now, of course, Siri works great with the TV app.
Well,
for shows that I'm watching,
If they don't
I can
mention
just
Netflix
say,
explicitly, then
Play
I guess we
Brooklyn
can assume it's
Nine-Nine.
probably not there because that would be one that you would want to call out.
Okay, here's Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Also, of course, that's Amazon's fault. If
Three
the Amazon
T5
Prime app
minutes
is not
late.
available on
Yikes.
Apple TV,
But
and
I
that's
had
their
to stop
choice.
and
Right.
get some
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Hello, good
Amazon
sir.
likes to
I'd
do
like
that.
your finest bottle of wine. please.
Strangely.
That will be $1,600.
Great. I'd like your $8-est bottle of wine, please. It's from the finest vineyard in Arkansas.
So Siri knows exactly which episode I was on and picked up right where I left off. Let's switch back to my Apple TV. So once again, you can see that Up Next
Assuming the
is
mobile
automatically updated
version,
with
could
that
you send
episode
it
we
to the
just
Apple
played
TV
my
that's on the
iPad.
screen in the living room? Like you,
Like AirPlay?
So that's the new
AirPlay
TV app.
Or
It
some-
brings the
yeah, some sort of
best
syncing
shows
between
and
the two.
movies
That's what she
from
was
all
talking
my
about. Yeah, it
video
syncs
apps
across all your
into one
devices.
place. And it works across Apple TV,
That's such a
iPhone,
a
and
signature
iPad.
thing
It's going to
with Apple,
completely change
where they
how
put
we watch
all this thought
television.
and all this work into saying, here's how well voice search will work to operate as a remote control. But then when it comes to let's design an actual remote
Now,
control, it's
I'd like to talk about another
only
important
halfway usable.
category,
It's
and
like-
that's live.
like the simplest basics
Apple TV
of
has so
a physical
many
remote,
amazing
they
apps
just
that are
ignored.
great for tuning into live news
It
and
has
sports.
a button.
And today, Siri is making
And
it
you will be
easier
clicking the
than
wrong
ever
side of it.
to watch the live content that you want.
And also,
So
if
now
you
I can
happen
say
to
things
slide
like,
on the sofa
watch
cushion
CBS
and touch a
News.
piece of your skin, you'll find yourself skipping forward.
Siri tunes
But
in
hey,
straight to
Siri
what's
voice
live on
search, we're going to make the
CBS.
physical remote as unpleasant to use as possible so
Now,
that
since I'm
you'll
watching
want to.
in the app,
That's right. It's the
I can
better
get more
alternative.
news just by swiping up. And choose a different story just by clicking.
They're really counting on people wanting to go.
We got a guy
all
that stole a bike here at Walmart. I got
Not
him
sure
broken
that-
side to the street. What?
The cavalry arrived moments later.
The most
that's
entertaining
great
part of this
when I know
is
what
the TV
channel
that
I
they're
want.
watching.
But what about when I just want to watch my favorite sport? So let's say it's Saturday, and you know what that means, college football day. All I need to do is tell Siri to turn on the game. Watch the Louisville game. Siri knows
See, it's better-
which
this
app
would work
has
better
the game
with the
and
system.
takes me straight to the
Like-
action.
Last night, I wanted to go. I got home and I would have asked Assistant, "Hey, is the World Series on right now?"
Well,
Because I don't know
since
what
this
day it's
game
starting.
looks like a
Like,
total
oh,
runaway,
great, let's watch
let's
that.
use Siri
As
to find
opposed to
out
Siri or Shlomo,
what other football
search
games
for
are on
World
now.
Series.
Yeah.
Siri, play, open CBS
Siri
app,
shows
play
me all
World
of today's
Series.
schedules and scores.
I mean, that's the challenge with
and
moving
even
all
which
this
other
into
games
the
I can
voice
watch live.
world is that, yes, and we
Well,
were talking about
I
this
know a
yesterday,
certain
everything has a
CEO and
syntax.
Auburn
And if you
alum
learn the
that
syntax,
probably wants
it's
to tune
beautiful.
in.
But at this
So
point,
let's take
you
a
expect
look.
a little more than that. You expect to be able to say the thing you want without that extra syntax and have it still understand exactly what you're looking for. And if it's not that, then it has limited appeal to the mainstream, I think.
But then you imagine how well this will work. This could work a year from now or 2 years from now,
Sure.
when you have a microphone just in the living
Siri
room,
makes
where
it so
just like you're
easy to
asking
catch
what's the weather
all
right
the
now,
exciting moments.
you can say, "Hey, was there a
So
new
with
episode of
Siri
British
Live
Bake Off this
tuning
week?"
And the
Said,
unified
"Yep,
experience
it
of
aired
the new
last
TV
night.
app,
The title of the show is
Apple
Bloop,"
TV
and then
is
say,
the
"Great,
best place to
let's watch that in
TV
the living room."
shows, movies, sports,
Andy,
and more.
you love that
Thanks
show,
so
don't
much.
you? You're a big fan of that show.
I had to stop watching the final of the latest season to come down here
Thank you, Jen.
for the streaming cast, so it's on my mind.
Okay. I'm sorry we did this to you, Andy.
They're in the middle of the
excited about
judging
new
of the
TV
final
app for
technical
Apple
challenge.
TV, as well as
Literally
for
in the middle of the
iPhone
judging
and
for the
iPad.
final technical
So
challenge.
now there is a unified TV experience. That's one place to discover and enjoy
this is available.
your favorite TV shows
So
and movies
what I was saying earlier as
across
far as
all
share
of your
between devices, I didn't necessarily mean that like the
We're gonna
location
make the
of the
TV
content
app
syncs
available
between the
for
devices,
free
but
with a software
using
update
your iPad, let's
for
say, as the way to
tvOS
select
and
the things you
iOS
want and then going,
beginning
poof,
in the
send that
United
to the
States
TV. I
by
wonder
the
if you can
end
do
of this
that.
year.
Kind of similar to what Chromecast
Apple
does, right?
TV,
Like where you
iPhone
your
and
phone is your
iPad have
navigation
become
of the thing.
primary
Sometimes
ways
that's
that
easier
many
than
of
like
us enjoy
You can
watching
use
television.
your phone
And
as a
now
remote
with
for your
the
Apple
TV
TV.
so
Or your,
okay,
I'm
maybe
assuming you
there's
can
no
use
way.
your
It'd be
iPad.
nice to be
No
able to just go
reason
like this video
to
on
watch
the Apple
TV
TV
anywhere
comes on.
else.
TV
So
app
that's
launching
Apple
sometime
TV
in
and the
December
new
as a free update.
TV app. The next thing we'd like to talk about is something dear to all of us at Apple, and that is the Mac.
Yeah. I thought he was
Like,
going to
sort
say
of like an
43%
afterthought.
profit margin.
Still dear to us, the Mac.
The Mac is more than a
I
product.
haven't forgotten about it.
It's a
We
testament to
promise.
everything we do and everything we create at Apple. The Mac is so incredibly important to us. But it's not just important to us, it's important to the world. It's had a profound
Or
impact
8.1% of the world anyway.
in education, design,
Less and less important because everybody's
Business.
computer is in their pocket now.
the arts, the sciences, and in so many areas. The world's creative forces
Now I'm just being mean. I'm
use the
sorry.
Mac to push the world
Hey,
forward.
the numbers reflect it.
We
most
continue
popular
to
computer's
push
the
the
one in your
Mac
pocket.
experience forward with Mac OS. And this year, we launched the best version yet,
Kind of
Mac OS
gutsy
Sierra.
saying how
It
proud
brought
they
a
are,
lot
how
of powerful new
creative
features
people
to the
prefer
Mac,
Macintoshes, because creative
such as
people aren't
iCloud
happy with
Drive,
Apple for not giving them
which
the
makes all
hardware
the
that they
files
want.
on the desktop
That's exactly
or
what
in the
I was
documents
thinking,
folder of one
especially in
Mac,
light of
available
yesterday's
to any other
Surface
Mac,
announcements, where
as well
Microsoft
as
is
your
really doubling
iPhones
down on
and
creatives
iPads.
and professionals
And Universal
in this space.
Clipboard, letting you
And
copy content
as a creative, I
from
would
your
love to see
iPhone or
Apple
iPad
do this because I'm so
in
used to
your
being in
Mac
that ecosystem.
and paste
But
it in your
I mean,
Mac.
so yesterday's hardware
And
has me
hundreds of
actually
thousands of
reconsidering
websites
after 15 years.
now are offering their customers Apple Pay. So you can shop
Not only that, but
with your Mac.
you can't get
and then
Apple
just
software
with a
designed for
click and a
professions
tap,
anymore. It
you can
always
purchase.
gets dumbed down for like a
Siri
company
is now
in-house
available on all Apple
training
platforms,
video producer,
including
sure.
the Mac.
which not
And
to
on top
denigrate
of
what
the
they do.
capabilities you've grown to love with Siri, we've designed
But they
some
could still do that
specific
and
ones
more. They could
just
still
for the Mac.
serve both
For
both
instance, you can
segments,
do
and they
detailed
kind of
file
gave up on the
searches
professional side of
just by
things
asking
to a
Siri.
certain degree.
This is incredible productivity savings. We're really excited about all the things you can do with macOS Sierra. The Mac experience just keeps getting better and better. Now, you may not realize it, but this week happens to be a huge week in the history of the Mac and in the history of Apple. This week marks the 25th anniversary of our first notebook. It was on October 25th of 1991
look at that.
I had that.
that Apple
Did you?
unveiled the first PowerBook.
I did have that.
With the
It wasn't
rolly ball
mine.
trackpad?
It was,
Now,
yes, it was my
The
dad's.
PowerBook actually
We got that somewhere around here. At least we used to. I don't know if we still have it.
I don't
For its
recall them
time.
being this
Changing
pleased
the
about the anniversary
category
of the Mac Portable,
and changing Apple forever.
the 16-pound
This was the
typewriter
first
size.
portable that featured
Super
the
Twist
keyboard
LCD.
forward design, so you could
this is
rest
portable
your
for sure.
palms
with
when you were
a lead
typing.
acid battery.
It had a pointing device integrated right into the palm rest. Now, all of us take this for granted today, but this is where it all started. It was also the first laptop with an active matrix display.
So every time you
Now, we
use a
didn't stop
trackball in
here.
your MacBook,
Every generation of Mac
Remember where it
notebooks
began.
had some major innovation that wound up
again.
pushing the industry forward.
Apple came late to the notebook
first
market. They shouldn't
trackpad.
really be saying, "Isn't it great
The
how we
first
launched
notebook
all of this?"
with built-in Wi-Fi. The first aluminum unibody design.
Where's it going to be?
The first with all-flash storage, and the first with all-day battery life. And the first Retina display in a notebook. For 25 years, we've been defining and redefining what a notebook is
For Mac users.
and what a notebook can do. And today, we're going to do it again.
Hello again.
Let me show it to you.
Yes.
All right. So what we got first here? Now, if they did a limited edition re-release of that laptop, but running modern software, modern internals, no one would buy it. Well, someone would, a collector would.
Oh my God, my notebook life is flashing
I know,
before
right?
my eyes. I left that one on a bus.
And you were there?
That's
and
the
you
one
were
I
there?
dropped and cracked the screen. Oh, Ghosts of PowerBook Past. Don't show me the one that I dropped the entire can of Coke onto.
You'll never forget, Andy.
Are these the shades of the MacBooks that will be, or only the MacBooks that can be?
All right, so there you got the OLED
Very
panel
OLED stuff.
in place of the function.
Really cool stuff.
Escape button is there. Stand down, stand down. Escape button is included.
Well, no, but you can make it something else too.
Sure.
The button is gone.
It's-
The
it's-
escape
it's a-
button
it's a-
is gone.
It's a second screen just for user interface. That's the whole point of
Right.
it.
A better way to do your emojis. That's what we were looking for. Easier
This
emoji
is
access.
the new MacBook Pro, and it is absolutely incredible. To tell you all about it, I'd like to invite Phil Schiller up. Phil?
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. This is so exciting. A new generation MacBook Pro, and it is seriously cool. It has a whole new design, made of aluminum. It is metal on all sides. It is incredibly extreme. And this kind of design is only possible with a unique collaboration between our hardware engineering, our operations, and our industrial design team working together to solve problems others haven't even tried to tackle.
And a little bit of courage.
It is the new gold standard in notebook computers, and it enables innovations not possible before.
I think that Phil had a
Comes in
sense of humor. He'd
13-inch
do this
and
appearance wearing like
15-inch
the big
sizes.
gaudy medal that the
Silver
wizard gave
and
the
space
Cowardly
gray.
Lion at the end of Wizard of Oz, and not even mention it.
Simply the thinnest and lightest MacBook Pro we have ever made.
Space gray. I'm excited. It matches my watch.
So let's dive into a few of the details. First, let's look at the 13-inch MacBook Pro. Here's the previous generation, absolutely the leader in its field in performance and thin and light. But here's the new 13-inch MacBook Pro on the right. Yes, it is just 14.9 millimeters thin. That's 17% thinner than the previous generation.
I don't want to
And
remind
it's
you how
smaller,
pissed
too.
off I was about that extra 3
23%
millimeters
smaller
on my
in
current
volume,
notebook.
Almost a quarter less.
It was like
That's a
I was
huge
livid.
Difference. And it
You know
weighs
what I could
less,
fit
too.
in my bag if I
Weighs
had an
just
extra 3 millimeters?
pounds. Almost
My
a
life
half a
would
pound
change.
less
I could have almost a third an issue of People magazine if I had an extra
Turn it
3
around so you
millimeters.
can see
Oh,
the
but you
all-metal
can't now?
design on all
Now
sides.
my life begins
It is
anew.
an absolutely
Okay.
stunningly
I can have
beautiful
almost the first 9
Now let's
pages of a
look at the
comic book in my
15-inch
bag that I could not have
Again,
before.
The previous 15-inch MacBook
Apple's
Pro,
listening to you, Andy.
the standard, the best professional notebook that had
The
ever
15
been made
is the one that I have.
until today.
This is just
Here's the new
dumb.
15-inch Pro next to it. 15.5 millimeters thin.
You have
That's
super thin
14%
notebooks
thinner,
in the line. If
and
I
it is
care about
smaller
super,
as well.
super, super thin, I will buy the super thin notebook. I buy the Pro because I want performance and convenience.
Engineering feat.
But thinness doesn't
weighs
hurt, right?
Well, you
Just
use
4
your, I mean, you
pounds. Again,
you don't
half a
travel with
pound
your
less.
laptop,
4
Andy. You
pounds
travel with your
for a
iPad Pro,
high-performance
right?
Professional 15-inch
Mostly
notebook.
because
That's just unheard
there's
of.
so many things I have
What's
to give
really
up.
impressive,
Because the
customers
MacBook
open it
Pro
up for the
is
first time
inconvenient
and look
enough
inside.
that
Because everything
there's
is
rarely
all
a
new.
real advantage to taking it.
Got it.
There's a
Again,
new
it's
trackpad,
Dongle City.
A Force Touch trackpad. It is twice as big
It is
as
a
the
really
trackpad
big
in the previous
trackpad.
generation. A lot more room for your gestures. Now, this is only possible because of the Force Touch technology. In order to have
I
a
like
great
that.
click
I have
feel
grand
with
gestures.
a mechanical click mechanism, it would not be possible. This is really state-of-the-art and the best trackpad we've ever made. The keyboard is all new as well. It uses the butterfly switch mechanism that we pioneered in our 12-inch MacBook, but now we've applied it to a professional notebook. And in this case, there's a new switch mechanism, a second-generation butterfly. It's more responsive and gives an even greater sense of keyboard travel as you press on it. It is a great keyboard. And I could talk all day about it, but I think you're probably looking at that area just above it.
I'm glad that they mentioned that we're giving a better sense of keyboard travel.
Right.
What our team has done
That might
in
address
this area where
your problems
Yeah.
with it, right?
used to exist is remarkable. But before we get into that, I do think it's worth a moment for a requiem for the function key.
I'm concerned.
Many of you probably experienced it for the first time, as some of us did.
I'm
back with
concerned, but
something
I'll
like
reserve
this.
judgment.
This is an IBM 3270 mainframe terminal from 1971. That's when many of us first experienced this great new technology called the function key.
I love those
And it
arrows.
allowed us to do operations on a mainframe terminal.
See, I don't
Well,
like
those function
this tech.
keys migrated to
It's
our
like they're
desktops,
mocking people
to our
that have a
notebooks.
preference.
Over 45
I was
years we've been
hanging
using
out with a
function
friend of
keys.
mine who,
Well, actually, for the last
I won't say what she
who knows how
does,
many
but
years,
it
we really
really
haven't been
involves
using
a
them
lot
anymore.
of creative
When's the
work.
last time you've had a
And she gets
3270
things done
mainframe
faster
terminal
because she can
emulation
have her eyes on the
session?
keyboard
It's been
and
a while,
rest her fingers on
right? So
physical
we've mapped
function
other
keys that
functions
she's
onto
mapped
these
to do
keys,
very useful
put
things for her.
volume and
That's a really
brightness
good
on
point.
them. But
And
this
she's
is
really
crazy.
concerned
Keeping
about
45-year-old
how she will have to
technology
carry a
around,
keyboard with her
mapping
wherever
other
she
things to
goes
them.
because
Our
they're
design
not
team
giving her
has
functional
taken on the
function
challenge
keys.
to move forward
That's
and
the
say,
risk you take
what if
in
we get rid of
removing
them?
kind of the
What do we
tactile
do in their
key
place?
approach.
So don't make fun of people say, oh,
Technology
look
that
at this. We've had
actually
the
enhances
novel
the
function
experience
keys in
that we all have with our notebooks
1973.
all day long.
Like, okay, say
what they've done
that
is
we decided to make a
truly
change. We think
remarkable.
it's an improvement,
This is what
but
it looks
don't
like.
make fun of people for liking function keys.
It's a Retina display.
At what point do you think Microsoft
It is
does what we saw
multi-touch.
recently? Wow, what was
It
the
responds to gestures
laptop
and
that we saw that
taps
had no
and makes
keyboard
things
whatsoever? It was a
incredibly easy
flat
to use.
surface with a virtualized keyboard over the top. I mean, because it really does seem like in many ways
We call it
Apple is really
touch
kind of
bar.
enjoying this like touch first universe, as far as control.
Now, Touch Bar can do so many things to
not
help
the
us
magic.
as we use our MacBook.
That said,
Pro.
the Touch
First,
Bar is such
it
a great
replaces
idea.
The standard system functions we're used to. So if you
Wonder if-
want to
I
set
bet
the
they put
brightness
Taptic
or
Engine
the
behind it.
volume, it's easier than ever before with just a slide or
Yeah,
tap.
that would make it a little
Well,
better.
this
But it
seems
goes
to
way
give you
beyond
more
that.
function.
The
I mean, you'll
Touch
be
Bar
able to
adapts
customize
Right.
them
whatever
to whatever you
software
want
you're
them to do.
using.
It's not
So,
less,
for
more.
example, in this
Well,
case,
assuming you can
we're in
customize
Safari.
them.
And now the touch bar is showing us buttons for our favorite websites. If you want to go to a website, you can just slide along and tap it, and it takes you to that website. Once you're there, it changes again. Now it shows you a search field, a back button, and add another tab in your view. Just the tools you need for where you are. And it goes beyond just being application specific. The touch bar can provide new surfaces for tools that we use all the time. So for example, here I am in Photos, and I want to straighten that photo. I have a new interface right there on touch bar for straightening the photo. And my hands are right down on the keyboard where I want them in a notebook. It's a perfect experience. And since it's near the keyboard, it's also really helpful when you're typing.
Where you expect them to be to get feedback from the computer.
The touch bar can show you quick type suggestions. You can just tap on and type even faster. It is incredibly useful and intuitive and really fun to use.
As with any new user interface thing.
Well, next to touch bar is another technology, Touch ID. We're bringing Touch ID to the Mac for the very first time.
We saw this in the leaked photos from Apple Pay a few days ago. That right-hand side Touch ID panel.
With your fingerprint. And it's integrated right where it belongs, in with the power button.
You notice that there's OLED over the Touch ID.
Touch ID sensor, so it's really fast.
Is the actual screen extending that far, or does it end before there?
That's what I'm trying to notice.
The Apple T1 chip. And this chip includes
I haven't noticed up
secure
until now
enclave.
whether that was happening.
So now you can do Apple Pay purchases with your finger right on your MacBook Pro.
I have been screenshotting as we go.
So this is the touch bar and Touch ID. And to show it to you working live
it looks
for the
like
first time, I'm really excited
previous
to bring up
screenshots, it does not, the OLED does not extend left or right all the way to the left or right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, it looks like it stops right there.
It's a rare privilege to be able to be the first to show you the amazing new MacBook Pro and Touch Bar live.
Now, they still haven't said whether you could specifically customize that bar. I don't see why you couldn't necessarily.
Because if you're writing an app, you can't expect there to be a touch bar. So I imagine there's a possibility that I could have a utility, a third-party utility that takes over the touch bar, that communicates to the rest of the, oh, by the way, there's no touch bar available. So my photo app would then say, okay, I'm not going to put anything in a touch bar that this computer cannot provide.
On the amazing new touch bar. The first thing,
it's an awesome idea so long as it remains like an optional part of the OS, of the UI, meaning that you can't count on someone wanting to use that for a certain button. You can't count on somebody being able to switch their vision. Let's make a point of that. From looking at a screen to looking down at a keyboard to looking up at a screen to looking down at a keyboard. I bet they wouldn't make that mistake.
3270 emulation sessions planned for this afternoon, and good news, they can carry on, because if you hold down the function key, you notice they come right back and available to you right here. It's a huge relief. Now, normally you're going to run with your system controls tucked away in Control Strip. And what's really great is Control Strip still makes it really easy to do everything you want to do with
For your friend, that sort of solves the problem with the function keys, but it doesn't allow her to keep her hands hovering over the specific keys themselves and
rest her fingers over it.
I mean, and that's the challenge of having a screen on your keyboard, right? For so long, we're fighting having to look at the keyboard because it's faster for us to just stay focused on the screen and do everything through muscle memory on the keyboard. The juggling back and forth, I don't know. I mean, in some ways, that makes you more
I think it'll be like the first apps with multi-touch, the first apps with the mouse. There's some developers that will have to really spend some time with it to understand what's appropriate, what's not appropriate.
Right.
But a year from now or 2 years from now, everyone will get it. This is a really, really positive thing.
So I can just send this one off with a tap. It's that easy. Now, because Touch Bar is part of the keyboard, it's great for typing. I can reply to this message, and you notice I'm presented with
a good point CR1 has in the chat room. I wonder the accessibility implications of having this touch screen down there. You know, they started the whole event with accessibility, but now you've got a touch panel that doesn't have any sort of tactile response to it, or even sort of guide for where you put your fingers in order to control things. I wonder how that affects that.
That's why I'm saying I think that the basic concept should be that this is an optional thing. You don't need to have this touchpad in order to make the computer work.
But function keys were always there, weren't they? No. Well, I don't know.
Well, you can just hold out the function key, and you'll get back the standard layout.
But I mean, someone who's blind, let's say, or you know what I mean, needs that extra accessibility layer. That might not help them.
It's all about emoji now.
So did they say it didn't have haptic feedback?
And you'll see what happens as I
didn't
type
hear anything about it.
pumpkins
I haven't heard them mention it yet.
here on the bar. QuickType suggests a replacement emoji that I can add with just a tap. But Touch Bar even provides a great interface for browsing all of my emojis.
I also imagine it'll get a little bit difficult for me to get used to, hey, there are lights flashing and things appearing on the keyboard, distracting my attention from the screen. Really, my eyes are locked on the screen.
Finish composing.
It doesn't help that Macintosh, they've always made a big deal about, hey, we don't think that people want to have a touch screen like on the screen. It'd be less jarring on a Windows machine where I'm used to having interactivity there. And if they did have a full touch screen, they could put all this stuff like below the actual screen hardware itself.
Through the day. It's really great. You can do that all right on your Touch Bar. Now, Touch Bar is really fantastic for navigation in your apps. You see, here I've opened a Safari window that has multiple tabs, and Touch Bar is transformed with a control for moving between my tabs. I get previews here. I can just tap and move through my tabs like this, or even slide and get a preview. And when I want to open a new tab, well, that's easy too. I can tap on the plus button, and you see right here, I have all my favorites. I'm just going to tap into an item I've had my eye on here on Etsy. And you see, now that Etsy is bringing Apple Pay to their checkout page, well, I can actually buy this impulse purchase here with just a tap. Can securely authorize the payment
Just a little tappy.
with Touch ID. It's that easy, and soon I will be feeling the amazing power of pyramids and copper together. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. All right. Let's move on to photos because the Touch Bar is really great in photos. Now I can take photos here full screen. This is obviously not my personal photo library, but I'm able to enjoy this photo in full screen on my main display because Touch Bar takes over all
kind of
of the
weird
navigation.
thing. All of this would be almost unnecessary if they just made the screen touch.
It's super easy.
We wouldn't even
to
care
identify
about
a
any of it.
particular photo,
That's too extreme.
And you
But
notice this is a video.
if they
So
simply
I have
said that the lower, we're going to do a UI thing with the lower left and the lower right corners, we're going to encourage people to put UI there so that people can just have their fingers like sort of draped down there.
Backward. It's a really great.
But I appreciate that the idea here is to put actual function keys that work like keys on a keyboard.
So
It's
if I
the
go
level of
to a photo
interactivity
like this,
we're showing here.
Rotate. You
That's
notice there's a control on Touch Bar to do
Yeah.
that.
I don't know. It just makes me think about what Apple would do if they had a multi-touch screen.
For instance, I might want to make some
If
adjustments.
that's just dogma,
on
for
this
instance.
one.
You have to imagine that's somewhere down the pipeline, right? Like I know that Apple's made comments where people don't want that, but clearly they do to some degree. We're so used to touch interfaces in so many other ways. Why not on the screen?
Apple tends to believe things, not to believe things until they see another company do it and people actually respond to it.
Yeah.
They don't copy. They wait for customers to say, we want this by actually buying things made by other people.
Pick one that I like. There's even a
Yeah, I
button
mean,
with
but I think
previews
this is a
before and
step
after.
towards
That's
that.
what- yeah,
you know,
for
this
sure.
is the touchpad is the gateway to the touch screen.
And if they find through their own metrics that people are using this like crazy, like mad, then maybe that's further indication that people actually want
Controls
this.
to accelerate everything you do on your Mac.
I think
pros really like to customize their
It'd
tools
be
to match their
a
personal
response to
workflows.
seeing how well
Touch
all
Bar really
these
shines.
multi-touch
Let me show you something in
Windows
Finder.
notebooks are
So
saying. Now,
here in
pretty
Finder,
much
when I
it's
select a file, we see we have a bunch of
screens that don't have
useful
touch
controls. I
are
can
limited
look,
to
share,
like the
and
low
even
end
my
and even
files
just the medium
right from
end.
the Touch Bar.
All
But
premium
maybe I
devices
wanna
have
do
multi-touch.
something
People are kind of
different.
expecting
Well,
it.
now I can customize my touch
Okay.
bar.
Customizability, you can
palette of all of the
drag in what you want.
capabilities available to me. Let's say I like to connect often to servers where I store my big assets. Well, now I can drag this button, and I want you to watch what happens. As I drag it to the bottom of my main display, it drops right through into the touch bar where I can position it down there. It's incredibly easy
That's cool.
to customize
Really
the
acts
system.
like a second
Now,
screen.
you can customize your control strip and even your set of primary system controls. So I could add a do not disturb button or this cool new screenshot control. Just drag it down, place it where I want it, and just like that, I've customized.
So it'd be
my
nice if
touch
there's
bar.
a UI element that I find distracting in Safari. I could simply not use it. Just have it just static function
My grand
buttons.
finale, I want to pull full circle, and that's back to Touch ID. And so for this final demonstration, I'd like to bring Phil Schiller to the stage. Now,
Just someone random from the audience.
Some random individual chosen from the audience. It
I like
turns
what I've
out
seen
I'm
so
gonna reveal
far.
a little
It
secret
looks like
Phil
it's
and I
really
actually
nicely
share this
put together.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you
Phil
can
is
customize them now, and I know people who put like labels above theirs to because they want to customize them so much. So this is so much easier than that.
As long as the user feels like he or she is in control.
So that is a quick demonstration of the new MacBook Pro and its amazing touch bar. I hope you love it. Thank you.
So I'm going to take a minute to thank our sponsor for this TWiT Live special. It's brought to you by Ring, with the Ring video doorbell. There's home burglary every 13 seconds. Most burglaries happen in broad daylight. Burglars will come, they'll ring your doorbell to see if you're home. They see that you're not home. They break in, they steal all your brand new MacBooks. You don't want that. But with the Ring video doorbell, you can see who's ringing your doorbell. You can talk to them. Even if you're not home, you just use an app. It's a great tool. I have one at my house. It's great to see when my kids are coming and going, when anyone's working on our house coming and going. It's wonderful. The Ring video doorbell, the kits include the Ring video doorbell and a solar security sign. That's the Ring of Security kit. If you get that whole kit, that's what that includes. The Ring video doorbell and stick-up cam install in just minutes. Super easy to install. Even if you aren't that great with a screwdriver, it's very easy. It comes with its own tools too, so someone can't just use their screwdriver to unscrew it. Join millions of homeowners who protect their homes with Ring for a limited time. You can get up to $150 off the Ring of Security kits. Go to ring.com/twit. Go to ring.com/twit to get that deal. And we thank Ring for their support of TWiT Live specials.
The new MacBook Pro is simply the best display we've ever made on a Mac. Compared to the previous 15-inch MacBook Pro, it is 67% brighter. It has a 67% greater contrast ratio. It displays wide color with a 25% greater color gamut. All this in a display that consumes less power and is as thin as a 12-inch MacBook display.
I wonder if the OLED strip extends to all models or not just the higher, the higher end one.
It sounds like all of them. The newer ones. Well, there's no more Airs, so.
Well, no, I mean, between the different sizes, like the 12 to 15.
We've ever made.
I'm sorry, do you think there are no more errors, or they haven't announced anything about a new error?
Well, I mean, the rumors are there are no more Airs. What do you think?
We can assume that they're hanging on until they feel like the transition is over.
Memory. It is a really fast system. It has faster graphics as well. Radeon Pro graphics. This is the AMD Polaris architecture. Up to 4 gigs of video memory, and it delivers graphics power that's now 2.3 times faster than the previous generation 15-inch MacBook Pro. And the storage is faster too, now up to 3.1 gigabyte per second. You can configure it with twice as much, up to 2 terabytes, and it's 50%
That's a big deal,
faster
especially
as well.
for pros. Just
now, all this performance of faster
moving
CPU,
data in and out is really a big deal.
Faster memory, faster storage, in a device that's thinner, creating a whole new thermal architecture. And the team's done an amazing job at this. New thinner heat pipes, new innovative fan blades that allow us to run the system cooler and quieter as well. The one thing that's not quieter is the speakers. The speakers fit into a smaller space, but they put out more volume.
Compare the X-ray of this to the X-ray of the MacBook Nothing, where there's hardware all throughout this device. On the MacBook Nothing, here is a tiny little stick of gum that has all the logic, and the rest of it is just battery.
So here's some examples of the performance difference between the new 15-inch MacBook Pro and the previous generation. The new MacBook Pro at 3D graphics, 130% faster. At gaming, 60% faster. Video editing, 57% faster. This is the kind of performance you feel. Everyday real-world applications.
Especially considering it's been, 4 years?
So that's the 15-inch Pro.
So I hope we have a big jump.
MacBook Pro. It can be configured with dual-core 6th generation Intel i5
does help
i7 chips.
To illustrate why Apple doesn't and really can't just yank out the old CPU and put in the new Intel CPU. They really want to improve the memory. They really want to improve the intercomponent communication. They want to make it faster every way you can make a computer faster.
It now delivers twice the storage performance of the previous 13-inch MacBook Pro. And here's some examples of real-world application tests on it. The new 13-inch MacBook Pro is 103% faster at gaming than the previous generation and 76% faster both at video editing and 3D graphics. Now, the system's much faster, and so is the I/O. It is the fastest, most versatile I/O we've ever built into a MacBook Pro. Both the 13 and the 15-inch.
4 years since the design changed, but the internals were updated not super long ago.
Four Thunderbolt ports.
Nice. USB 3.1 Gen 2, and of course DisplayPort 1.2.
What's the
now,
power
I know
port?
many of you know that Thunderbolt 3 uses the USB-C style connector, and that means that any one of the 4 ports can be your charging port. Plug it into whichever one you want.
Nice.
Left side, right side,
Right side. Love that.
But it's so much more versatile than that. Each one of the ports can be power, can be Thunderbolt, can be USB, DisplayPort, video out with VGA, or HDMI. So here's an example. Imagine you're a Final Cut Pro editor.
I'm not complaining, just observing. With my druthers, it would be nice to have one old-style USB port just to prevent you from absolutely having to have USB 3, USB-C style dongles and adapters for some of your old stuff.
Yeah, that would be a hard trend for Apple to reverse at this point. They've really gone all in on this one port to rule them all sort of thing.
It displays 5K resolution.
I just mean connectors. It's like, because there are times where, oh damn, I didn't pack this thing, or I don't have this one thing with me, or having to make that choice of making that $100 purchase on Amazon to replace every cable you have with a USB-C style connector.
For sure. Same cable.
Again, not a complaint, just observation.
And it's so cool that why not add 2, right? So you can have 2 5K displays plus your built-in 15-inch Retina display. That's almost 35 million pixels being driven by the graphics of the 15-inch MacBook Pro.
Yeah, see.
With our 2 free Thunderbolt 3 ports, we're going to add not only 1, but 2 RAID storage arrays. This is
great. They're making a really great pitch for creatives. This is what a desktop looks like for a creative professional.
Array.
They don't care about 3 millimeters. They care about 2 screens, a RAID, a DVI input.
It's truly remarkable.
And not feeling like they have to choose between those and choose like their, the best combination based on the limited amount of ports. So that's a good option.
On the new MacBook Pro. The first one, Final Cut Pro. So to show you that, I'm very proud to bring up Susan Prescott, VP of Apps Product Marketing. Susan?
So new Final Cut Pro coming up here. All right. We've decided to cater to professionals again.
The Final Cut Pro with a redesigned interface looks great.
Someone told us that Pro is not an acronym. It actually is short for professional.
I'm really excited to show you how it also takes advantage of the incredible graphics horsepower this machine's got, the beautiful wide color display that Phil talked about, and of course, the amazing new Touch Bar. So we're looking
they put that timeline down on the Touch Bar as a scrollable sort of thing.
Botanical artist who creates stunning flower sculptures. It was shot and edited in 4K and also in wide color. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Let's take a look at the beginning of the piece. The new Touch Bar lets me edit in ways I never could before. Right here in the Touch Bar, I can see my entire timeline, and it shows me exactly where I am in my project. And that's cool.
It's nice.
But even better, what could be better? It's fully interactive. So I can drag to move through my project. I can just tap to jump to a specific section, and I can even zoom in to get a closer look. It's pretty cool. Now, I'm gonna add a clip. When I select it in the browser in the top left, you may notice my Touch Bar automatically changes to show me relevant controls. So, for example, with just a tap, I can see the start and end of my time lapse to make sure it's what I want. I'm gonna drag it into my timeline right here at the bottom of the screen, and I'm gonna add an audio clip to go with it. But I see here in my timeline that the audio clip runs a little bit longer than I'd like. Well, good news, the Touch Bar changed again to show me editing controls I need. It's so convenient that I can trim the end of the clip with just a tap in the Touch Bar. Pretty amazing. Thank you.
This is the stuff that I wish that's,
It's
again,
great because I can also,
if you had a
with the
touch screen.
Yeah, but you know, I
time,
was
and it's
just thinking about that though. Part of why Apple has said you don't want a touch screen in this sort of environment is the whole Gorilla Arm sort of thing, and at least keeping a touchpad, kind of a touch surface on the laptop, in some ways gives you the best of both worlds, right?
Well, you can't rest your palm on the physical keys while you're doing this. You have the same problem.
Yeah, that's true.
And when you have a touch screen, you can actually just...
You just get in there and you pinch and zoom and drag your corners.
Meaning that for a lot of the ways that Windows apps are designed, it expects, like on a notebook, that maybe you're resting your entire arm on the desk and you're just sort of resting the back of your fingers against the lower corner of the screen and using your thumb to tap.
Yeah, I mean, on my Chromebook Pixel, that's kind of what I do. You know, it's a touch screen, and that's exactly how I do it.
Even with
you get very used to it very quickly.
Yep. I love that part.
Again, I don't think it's bad. I'm just saying that, this would be. I think this would be a very different technology if they had decided to embrace touchscreen on desktops.
It's this rather dramatic
I think if anything, Windows and Chromebooks have demonstrated that if you think that that's a bad choice, I think that's wrong. It might be a bad choice for an individual user, but you can do a lot with it.
Some of you might have been wondering. The touch bar is great at surfacing really useful features that can be hard to discover in a rich app like Final Cut Pro if you're just searching through menus.
Shines.
So,
absolutely.
Example,
so many people,
you know,
put a layer on top of their keyboard for this sort of stuff in order to have the shortcuts available.
I'm talking about, like, I'm doing many times in Pro apps, particularly. I do something the really, really hard way because I didn't know there was like a menu, sub-menu that said, find the silence at the end of this clip. So if I understood that, hey, he's looking at audio, I bet he doesn't know that there's silence at the end of this clip that he could destroy with just one button.
Just tap this button. You'll find it. Yeah, that's a really good point.
All right, that is a quick look at Final Cut Pro with the incredible performance of the MacBook Pro.
I also want to praise Apple for, I think they're making a willful decision to put more women on the stage.
For sure.
I do think that's an important thing for a company of Apple's size to do.
Thank you, Susan. Next, I want to show you a product that our customers count on and love so deeply, Photoshop. So many customers use Photoshop across the projects on their MacBook Pro. And we're so happy to have with us Brady Evans, Experienced Design Manager for Adobe Photoshop. Brady?
Second time that Apple has really featured Adobe Photoshop products.
Thank you.
Second time in a row.
This new MacBook Pro and Photoshop are made for each other. This new edition of the Touch Bar really combines with the keyboard and this new giant trackpad to create this incredibly natural, expressive, and powerful new way of working with Photoshop. Let me see if I can show you what I mean. All right, I have up here on the screen this amazing image of a woman climbing Tersinos Cave in Greece. But what if this cave were not in Greece? What if it were here? Now, to pull this off, I'm going to need to cut the cave out of Greece. And the tool for cutting things out in Photoshop is called Select and Mask. And normally, it's in a menu or a subtool. But with the touch bar, it's right here at my fingertips.
Notice that the touch bar is completely gray until you use it for something, and that's when they introduce color.
You can see how with my right hand, I'm mousing and
I think
selecting.
not to distract
with my left hand, I'm adjusting the size of the brush. It's a really
Any risk
fun
of burn-in on OLED? I can't remember if LED's technology that...
I'm going to switch over to my refinement tool, and again, I can just resize while I work.
Well, it keeps shifting, unless you decide that I'll never shift it away from being function keys.
Right.
In which case you get your wish. Now you have a static row of function keys.
All right, let's see what I did. All right, that's not bad for 10 seconds. And that whole time, my two hands were really working in concert, and my eyes were up and on my image. Really makes a lot of sense. It's really a good way of working. Okay, so this is great. This is definitely not Greece, but I'd like to see more drastic of a change. And adding content to an already open document can be a lot of mousing, but not with the touch bar. I'll just tap that, select the sunset, put that right there, and we'll move that under and see how that looks. All right, we're getting somewhere. I like this, but it's kind of yellow. And so I'd like to add more color, and to do that, I'm gonna need to do some brushing. But first, I'm gonna go into my touch bar, I'm gonna choose my favorites.
It would be nice to see what her hands are actually doing.
Yeah, some sort of top-down, especially. I mean, you kind of see it a little bit with the kind of the emulation of those those
this is great. I have no panels.
those targets on the on-screen keyboard, but you don't see your hand actually going there and how fluid that is.
You can get a lot more done in this view mode. So brushing is so important to so many workflows in Photoshop that we actually created a mode of the touch bar just for brush control. And here I can adjust the size of my brush.
See, I'm not sure.
Nice.
I'm interested to see how creative professionals respond to this. What people, a lot of the professionals I was talking to yesterday, what they loved about the Microsoft dial is that I've got my left hand on the dial, I've got my right hand on my pen. I don't even have to think about where my left hand is. I always know that twisting does this. I never have to look down at what my brain is focused on the artwork completely.
Trackpad just for painting and not doing any pointing or picking. And my left hand is just kind of sliding across this touch bar. It's really awesome. It almost feels like you're playing a musical instrument. It's kind of hard to stop, but I will stop. Okay, here we are. So this is looking pretty good, but my color isn't really blending very well with the layer below that. And to do that, to fix that, I'm going to switch back into the layer properties, and I'm going to change the blend mode. Now, normally choosing a blend mode in Photoshop
changing the color of the brush dynamically with her eyes on the screen.
But with the touch bar, it can either be a scroll or a couple of taps. And this is really great. It really opens us up to a lot of creative experimentation and leaves room for serendipity to happen. There, I kind of like this. This is pretty good. What do you guys think? Like, all right. Now, I've been doing all of this blending and cutting and painting completely fearlessly because I know that right here in my touch bar, I can scroll all the way back through my visual history and pick up anywhere along the way without losing any of my work. All right, okay. And so that is a preview of the new amazing synergy between Photoshop and the new MacBook Pro with Touch Bar, and we hope to have it in the hands of our Photoshop users before the end of the year. Thank you.
So far, if I were a creator, I don't know that what I saw today is any better than what I saw yesterday at the Microsoft event.
I mean,
it's different.
Yeah, it's definitely a different take on it. In both cases, I would rather have than not have. You know what I mean? It's a nice extra layer. I feel like you get a little bit more control only because the entire space, the entire screen is touch interactive on the Microsoft stuff shown yesterday, and that gets a lot more capability. This requires a little bit more of like a mind altering of your process versus just looking at the screen and going, that's the thing I want to control. You know what I mean? You still have to learn a certain kind of methodology in using this bar, but better than not having it, I think.
The Might No Rap DJ on iOS, it won an Apple Design Award, and it's used by millions of DJs around the world. I've been a DJ for almost 20 years, and I've gone from turntables and vinyl all the way to digital. The MacBook Pro is the standard for professional DJs, and we use dedicated controllers when we perform live on stage. Well,
74% more oops.
That touch bar would make a good crossfader.
And dynamic controls, the touch bar enables the next generation in DJ software. Let's dive right in. On the touch bar, you have access to the core functionality of DJ Pro. Here is the sampler.
We could indicate that the audience should raise their arms up in the air like they just don't care or not. But now I can gradiate, saying sort of put them up like you could do it, you could not. You're not really committed, but you're going to go along with it.
Using multi-touch, I can simultaneously apply a filter.
Yeah, it's nice.
Now let's zoom into the waveform.
Drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's lukewarm, drop it like it's cool or cold.
And I can precisely find a cue points to start my song.
Although it does seem like there's a little bit of a lag there. But that could be part of the software.
Okay, now we're ready to perform entirely with the touch bar. Let's take it for a spin.
No pressure.
They haven't mentioned haptics.
Yeah, they haven't.
Right. Back with haptics.
I mean, haptics would take it to at least another level, especially in things like this, because you don't necessarily know when, like at least from a musical perspective, timing is everything. And if you have that haptic kind of kick, that gives you an extra layer to kind of know that you're on beat, let's say, versus just this tap on the screen that may or may not represent what you expect it to represent when you hear it through the speakers, you know.
Also, we've seen how well haptics works on the new iPhone. Just when you're scrolling and say, oh, by the way, you've reached the end of the scroll and now you've bounced back.
Right.
Hip hop, hippie, 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 hip, hip hop. You don't stop rocking to the bang bang boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogity beat. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat. And me, the groove, and my friends are going to try to move your feet.
Andy, I don't know why they don't invite you to these events.
I just thought he was sampling Andy Anako in his song, to be honest.
Why aren't people in that room dancing? Cut to the back where people just go, woo!
I've used a lot of touch surfaces for music control. And like when I'm watching this and thinking about that tiny little strip in this regard, again, like I said a couple of minutes ago, I'd rather have it than not have it. But having it, I don't, until I get to play with it, I'm not entirely sure that's going to give me exactly what I would need out of that. You know, it would have to work really well for me to continue using it like that.
On the touch bar. It's a revolutionary tool for DJs. An update to DJ Pro is coming later this year, and we absolutely can wait for you to check it out. Thank you.
Go Grim. We had him on All About Android a few years ago. I love algorithm products.
He absolutely killed it on that. That song was so much fun to listen to. And I'm sure you got it that he was using both hands simultaneously on touch bar, because with its multi-touch input, it can support up to 10 inputs from your fingers. That's incredibly powerful.
That narrow
and there's so many great developers that
10
started
fingers
working
at
on their
once.
apps for the new MacBook Pro, as well
I know
as
how I could do it. I don't know how you could do it.
things. For example, Microsoft is working to bring all of Microsoft Office to MacBook Pro with incredible touch bar support. So you're going to see touch bar built in for Word, Excel,
Copy, paste, cut,
PowerPoint,
all that kind of stuff.
Outlook, and even Skype for Business. They're doing a great job for Microsoft Office, complete support for MacBook Pro and Touch Bar. There's so many great tools for graphic designers like Affinity Designer, supporting Touch Bar and MacBook Pro. For photographers like Pixelmator. For user interface designers with Sketch. High-end video editing and color grading with DaVinci Resolve, and on. So many great professional applications are going to take unique advantage of this incredible new experience. And that's what the MacBook Pro is. It's an entirely new experience. It's the gold standard in notebooks. It's a brand new design. And we have a brief video to tell you a little bit more about it.
Still don't know price. Still don't know availability. I'm hoping soon, because my wife really needs a new laptop. Like weeks ago, months ago.
No backlit Apple logo.
The product's overall volume has been
it's more the mirrored style.
Yeah.
This results in an extremely purposeful and powerful creative tool. It has the best Retina display we've ever put in a notebook. A precisely designed LED spectrum projects through a metal oxide backplane. This yields a remarkably bright, high-contrast picture with a wider color gamut.
This is a really good sell for professionals.
Touch trackpad
and it's all about the multitude of those USB-C connectors.
Yeah.
I think the touch bar is also going to be a good sell, the way they showed it off.
And efficient.
And the level of speed and power. They hit all, they were talking about all the right things to make this desirable to a designer. Because again, I can't overstress that I've heard it's hard to find a designer that's really happy with Apple right now. They feel like they've been not just underserved, but like, hey, Apple clearly doesn't care about us.
Forgotten, yeah.
Content.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm right around the corner from having to upgrade my music rig at home, and right now it's a Mac Pro. And yeah, I'm starting to kind of, for the first time, wonder whether I go with the laptop form factor or the MacBook Pro. Is that sufficient enough? And with the expandability of this lineup, I could consider that. You know, or even what we saw yesterday at the Microsoft event. Like, that's really compelling too, for a number of different reasons. But that would involve an ecosystem switch. So I don't know what the best option here is, but I'm happy they're changing it up here.
For a lot of creative pros, it's not quite so hard because the video editors, Apple kind of drove so many of them into Premiere a couple years, 2 or 3 years ago, with what they did with Final Cut X. They're using Photoshop, which works just as well, if not better, just as well on any other platform.
Yeah.
There are so few apps you can name that you have to have a Mac in order to make this work. Mostly they're like important, like third-party utilities that they might like, or processes or affects things.
Sure.
So we'll see. So I'm glad to see that they're not just saying, "Hey, here's for people who want a MacBook Air with a larger screen."
Right.
The new MacBook Pro achieves a design that optimizes both performance and portability. It marks a milestone in the evolution of the Mac.
Okay, how much and when?
Pro runs our latest version of macOS, Sierra. And Sierra takes full advantage of all that the MacBook Pro has to offer. Its wide color display, its touch bar, Touch ID, and so much more. And the hardware and software working together in these super thin and light notebooks deliver all-day battery life, up to 10 hours of battery life in both the 13-inch and the 15-inch. This is an incredible new generation of notebook. Now, it might be fun to bring back in that first generation of notebook.
Gosh, imagine how much battery life it would have if it were 20% thicker.
It is remarkable how much has occurred in just 25 years.
See, I remember those fold-out legs. They would always break, and they then flop uselessly after this third week. This tiny, tiny, tiny little plastic pin was all that kept it locked. So easy for that to shear off.
15-inch Retina display, how far we have come. That PowerBook 170 had a state-of-the-art 25 megahertz 68030 processor. Now, we've done the math. The new MacBook Pro is 6.8 million times faster.
The important details.
Or, thought of another way, a full year of compute time on that PowerBook 170 can be accomplished in less than 5 seconds on the MacBook Pro. It is.
That's a better way to put it. I think that's a good perspective.
We have
right there.
advanced so far, including in how we make these. Our MacBook Pros are all made with arsenic-free glass, mercury-free displays. They're BFR-free, PVC-free, beryllium-free. They're all Energy Star 6.1. They're all EPEAT Gold, and of course made highly recyclable with their aluminum and glass. The team is set out to make simply the best notebooks ever for our high-end professional customers. And they've absolutely hit it out of the park with the 13-inch and 15-inch MacBook Pro. And we think our Pro customers are going to love them. Now, we do have other customers who choose other products in our line, like MacBook Air. And they choose them for how thin and light they are. And we're going to continue to offer MacBook Air in a 13-inch in our line. But we challenged our team to take this new design, this 13-inch MacBook Pro, and could they make a model that would be really exciting for customers who would traditionally pick a MacBook Air. So we're making a model of the 13-inch MacBook Pro with traditional function keys and 2 Thunderbolt ports. And we think that a lot of potential MacBook Air customers are going to be very excited about this product too. So how does it stack up?
So well, they're making a MacBook Pro without the touch panel and kind of marketing it to Air customers. That's really kind of confusing, but okay.
Remember, we told you the MacBook Pro is 14.9 millimeters. That is thinner than the MacBook Air. It's actually 12% thinner.
So no longer a wedge now.
Right.
Same flat design.
Yep.
I know what some of you think. You're saying, well, MacBook Air is a wedge shape, so it's probably smaller. No.
So does this mean MacBook Air goes away?
No, there was a 13-inch MacBook Air they said they were going to keep.
MacBook Air.
Okay.
What about weight? They both weigh the same 3 pounds. So MacBook Pro weighs the same as MacBook Air, and it's thinner and smaller. So let's look at them another way. Here we are looking down on top of a MacBook Air. Let's slide on the 13-inch MacBook Pro on top of it. You can see how much smaller it is, why it has a lower volume. It's this advanced design, incredible new techniques that make this 13-inch MacBook Pro so small, so light. Here they are back to back, MacBook Air on the left, MacBook Pro on the right. The MacBook Pro is smaller, but better in every way. It has a 13-inch Retina display. There's a faster processor, faster memory, faster storage,
one
faster
Thunderbolt port, is
graphics,
it?
more advanced trackpad, more advanced
Is it
keyboard.
two?
It is an incredible new product. So now you see we actually have 3 models of the new MacBook Pro. A 13-inch with traditional function keys, a 13-inch with touch bar, and a 15-inch with touch bar.
So do you think your friend, your creative friend, is going to stick with the function key version?
All the different things you want on
She
it.
might.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very good move. It's basically a very gentle, okay, shut up. we'll give you whatever you want.
Intel Core i5. And it turbo speeds
Kind
up
of
to
surprised to see
3.1
that, because a lot of times
Also-
Apple gets onto a new idea like this and it's like, no, this is the future. This is what you're going to want.
Well, also that OLED component's got to cost money, and according to this comparison, it looks like this is the cheap one.
Thunderbolt 3 ports.
Right. Yep.
Fewer,
The 13-inch
2
MacBook
Thunderbolt
Pro
3
with
ports,
touch bar
not
and Touch
4.
ID
Right.
starts with a 2.9 gigahertz
Not as good
dual-core
graphics, not as good
i5. It turbo
CPU.
speeds up to 3.3
And remember that they're already
gigahertz.
buying those
And of course,
those
it has
mechanical keyboards
4
with the function keys in volume. So
And the 15-inch
That's a
MacBook
good
Pro
point.
with its touch
If
bar
it's
and
the
Touch
same
ID
component as
starts
you're using in the
with 2.6
MacBook, nothing.
gigahertz quad-core i7. It has Radeon Pro 450 graphics and starts with 16 gigs of memory. The pricing for these 3 configs are $14.99, $17.99, and $23.99.
I think that's
order
pretty much
them
the same as
today.
last year's.
The MacBook Pro with function keys starts shipping today. The 2 models with Touch Bar and Touch ID start shipping in 2 to 3 weeks, but of course you can get in your order today. So those are our MacBook Pros. Before we finish, I want to bring back one other product as you think about this line. Here are the 3 new MacBook Pros, and I've added on the left the 12-inch MacBook. Because that 12-inch MacBook started us on this path. It created many of the pioneering technologies that we've now adapted and evolved for the MacBook Pro. And it really makes sense together as you consider this line. 12-inch, 13-inch, 15-inch. 2 pounds, 3 pounds, and 4 pounds. Starting at $12.99, going up to $23.99. From the most extreme portable notebook we've ever made to the most powerful notebook we've ever made. We think this is the most forward-looking advanced notebook line we have ever had. Thank you very much. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you. We think you are going to love this new MacBook Pro, and we can't wait to see all of the amazing things that people are going to do with it. We're so excited that we made an ad, and I would love to show it to you now.
Well, that was smart of them to make an ad for this because...
I do like the color a lot. I do like the idea of a space gray laptop.
Yeah, it looks sharp.
I'm not going to lie about it.
The new MacBook Pro lineup are the best notebooks we have ever made, and they're the most advanced notebooks ever made. They join other powerful products that we've announced this year. The best smartwatch, the Apple Watch Series 2, the best tablets, iPad Pro with some amazing new capabilities with the Smart Keyboard and the Apple Pencil. And of course, the best smartphone and the very best iPhones we've ever created, the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 7 Plus. We couldn't be more excited about having our best product lineup ever heading into the holiday season. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming and joining us this morning. And I'd particularly like to thank everyone at Apple who worked so incredibly hard on creating these products and building them. Thank you.
So I'm still unclear on the whole MacBook Air thing.
I think they said they would still sell it, but they didn't do anything to it.
I'd like to invite everyone
That's what I
over
thought
there.
I heard them
just
say.
Right down the hallway, and you can get your hands on the new MacBook Pros and see the new TV app in action. Thank you for coming.
All right, no refresh to the iMac, no newer Mac Pro. Mac Pro necessary? I mean, some of the improvements to the MacBook Pro with the expanded ports and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's what I'm wondering if professionals, Apple, I don't know, seems to have been moving away from like the desktop style and saying, well, your laptop can do that and a whole lot more. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, just to get back to the Air question. I mean, Andy, did you understand that they were getting rid of the Air, or that they would still sell them?
They were kind of unspecific. The impression that I got was that this new model is going to be sort of an enhancement to the MacBook Air line without necessarily being a MacBook Air, right? And that they're keeping around the old ones. They have to, if nothing else, they have to keep around the MacBook Air because they have to have some machines that are well under $1,000. So that's their $900. That's their $900 budget. Budget notebook that serves a real purpose for them to sell to schools and to sell for companies that just want to equip their people with a notebook of some kind. But yeah, I'll have to ask some questions. I'm going to have to read the press releases to find out. As a matter of fact, let's skip over right now to see what Apple has put on the site.
I mean, the Air still is up there on the site, so I don't know. But no, did you expect them to present something like the Surface Studio that we saw yesterday at the Microsoft event, like something bigger than a 15-inch?
No. They're done with a 17-inch. Even just 17-inch versus 15-inch, it doesn't sound like much. But when I reviewed like the 12-inch MacBook Nothing, I have a friend who has a 17-inch that he loves because he just loves the big desktop, and it looks like it. The MacBook Nothing looks like an Apple Watch compared to it. Because remember, that's a diagonal measurement. So you're talking about it's wider, it's taller, it's a lunch tray. I don't think they need. I don't think they need to. I think the point that they would want to make is that the reason why designers want the bigger screen is because they need more pixels. They don't necessarily need more real estate, and they're giving them more pixels by giving them better displays. So that's not necessary.
Yeah, I mean, the 17-inch is like ginormous. And right. I remember the last time I was upgrading my work laptop here, I could have picked the 15 or the 17. And when I actually looked at the 17, I was like, I don't want to be saddled with this. Like, almost in a desktop sort of way, I would never want to leave anywhere with the 17-inch. It's just that big. So I think it makes sense for them to focus on the 13 and the 15.
And so what did we think overall? The Apple TV stuff, was that, I mean, interesting? That seemed pretty underwhelming to me. Anything they showed off, I can already do. They didn't mention Netflix. So, I mean, right now I can have universal search on my Apple TV, and it includes Netflix. So, if anything, this would be a withdraw of what I already get.
So then, what is the difference? Because I don't have an Apple TV. You can do universal search on the platform itself, but this is like the app. That kind of ends up getting a little confusing, I suppose. Like it's almost like you would want those features built into Apple TV itself, and doing the app is just another layer of, am I going to find what I need when I go there or not?
Right. I think what they were saying is like, okay, well, you want to watch Modern Family, like we'll open the ABC app or the Hulu app, or where you can buy it on iTunes, and then wherever and then also something that you would watch in, I presume, Hulu, something that you would watch on YouTube, maybe. I don't know what the features were, but then it was mainly based on the shows that you would watch, not the apps that you would watch them in, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, right now I have Netflix, I have HBO Go, and I watch different things, and I can search for them, and it tells me if something is available for free on Netflix, or if I have to pay for it on iTunes. So I have no idea what they were showing off, to be totally honest.
Well,
and I use an Apple TV.
I think the direction of Apple TV has always been increment. We can't show you the revolution in one swap. We're going to keep making incremental changes as more partnerships come in place, and as we understand how people want to use this thing. I think it's a good first step, and it indicates that we were trying to move away from here is the screen full of app icons, and now here is a screen full of the content you want to watch, regardless of where it comes from. I use there are many reasons why YouTube happens to be like my hub for most of my viewing, and most of it is just because I can get content from multiple, what you could call multiple networks, multiple content providers, even though they're just independent people making videos, all in the same place. Hulu is the same thing, where I can get content from NBC, I can get content from Fox, all in one place. So what they really want to do now is, I think they realize that not many people have really been won over by holding down a microphone button and saying, "Here, I know exactly what I want to watch. Please take me to it right now." And they really are the same 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s TV viewers, where falling on the sofa, I just want to watch some passive entertainment. I don't know what's on right now. Show me what's on right now. So you don't have to, instead of channel surfing by app surfing, channel surfing by program surfing, so to speak.
Right.
Oh, I guess, yeah. Show me what's on right now. I never do that. I know exactly what I want to watch when I get to my TV.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, I'm a simple woman.
TV watching with purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Apple TV, that was okay, lukewarm.
Minecraft?
Yes,
I mean, that's
for sure.
Definitely an aside, but
yes, Minecraft on the Apple TV would be great.
That'll be nice. A lot of people looking for that, I'm sure.
Yeah, and so then we get to the laptops. So they are metal on all sides. That's exciting. There's the 13-inch, the 15-inch. It looked like they got rid of the MagSafe connector. Does that disappoint either one of you?
Not at all. I hate the MagSafe connector. It just pops out. It just doesn't stay. I can't use my MacBook on the sofa because as soon as I uncross my legs, it falls out onto the floor. I have to go and pick it up. And also, just what you're getting back for it is just we will give you 4 generic ports that can be whatever port you want them to be. So if you want to have 3 display ports and 1 power port, great. If you want the power port to be on the left instead of the right, great. And also, it bears pointing out that the reason for the MagSafe connector originally was, remember, that was rolled out when there was a mechanical optical drive, there was a mechanical spinning hard drive. If you drop this thing, oh my God, you are so screwed in so many ways. Now that the MacBook is an entirely solid state device and built really, really ruggedly, it's not a big deal if it slides off the sofa and falls onto the carpeted floor in my living room. I don't even anticipate there's going to be any problems, and I don't even necessarily expect it to break if it were to fall onto a wooden floor, which is not to say I'm not going to be careful with it, but now it's no longer worth the trade-off of a magnetic connector that goes every time that I reach for my coffee or reach for my soda across the desk.
Yeah, it's true. I dropped this one on my driveway the other day. I thought it was dead, and then it came back to life, which is kind of sad. I should also say...
Sad that it came back to life?
Yeah, because then I would get a new one, right? I mean, I'm sorry. But yeah.
Sometimes that's the best thing that could possibly happen. Oops.
Sometimes, when Leo's buying your laptops, that's for sure the truth. So it's thin, it's light. What else do we think besides just the feel and look and feel and ports of it?
Obviously the OLED touch panel, which, they spent the majority of the entire announcement, probably half of the entire announcement was devoted to revealing, justifying, showing off why it's useful. And I'm very curious to see in practice how often you actually think to use it. I'm sure there are some ways where you have to use it, like the missing function keys, for example. But sometimes my experience with buying, let's say, at least in the audio world, which is the most direct comparison I can draw to it, there are ways that you can get specialized control surfaces for just certain tasks with things. And I've bought them plenty of times thinking this is going to make me more productive. And ultimately, in the end, the amount of time and effort it requires for me to reprogram my brain to remember to use those for those things as opposed to using the things I already do, it just ends up kind of falling off the edge and not being nearly as useful. Now, this is so built into the OS and, kind of their approach to this is that it's not necessary. If you have it on the laptop, you're going to be using it because every app that you're using that supports it is going to be putting meaningful, useful things there automatically. Maybe that is enough of a reason to try it out and realize why you need it.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we'd have to train ourselves to use, I think. Sure. But you know, they've been evolving the keyboard for a while, so yeah, this is just another evolution, and it'll be there for people who want to use it. And if you don't want to use it, it doesn't really get in the way.
Get the underpowered version with the function keys.
I don't think this is like the deleting the headphone jack, where if you prefer the headphone jack, switch to another phone. Oh wait, you're probably not going to do that. Okay, we've just screwed you, haven't we? This is like if you like the standard row function keys, it's always there available to you. Hold down the function button, and you'll have back the function keys you always liked. If you want mechanical keys, we will still sell you one that has all these new features. It's a little less powered, but maybe we think that you'll be kind of okay with that. But we'll sell you that as well. So basically, they've offered people, we've got options for you. But there's so much potential in that new bar that I was really, really pleased with what I saw today. It's not just I think that there's going to be an awkward first slate of apps once again as developers try to navigate. Say, well, I think a lot of developers will make the early mistake of thinking, oh, so I have now like an iPhone app that's really, really wide and really, really skinny. That's all I have to do. Is like, no. Okay, so I can just like keep throwing buttons. No. We want you to think carefully about when you are going to put new things in here. The idea of having not just customizable function keys, but we can actually dynamically change the keyboard interface, not just from app to app, but by moment by moment, to just hint at, we bet that you're by looking at what you're doing right now, we bet that you're now really looking at like styling a block of text. So we're going to put a lot of different style buttons down there, but also thinking that, we maybe you don't know that this function that's kind of a couple of menu buttons deep is actually something that will help you out if you're preparing a list. So we're going to put a button for that list feature right there. So it's going to be spectacular, I think, in 6 months when people are now used to developing it, and after we sort of users make sort of like the mental mind twist of that there are going to be parts of the keyboard that will change based on what I'm doing. So there's nothing to complain about with the OLED script now. I think they're really great stuff.
What about the display? It's supposed to be the brightest display ever. I mean, I have a Retina screen. I forget how great it is. I mean, I lent my MacBook to Florence Ion the other day, and she was like, whoa, the Retina display is amazing.
Yeah,
like, you get used to it. But, I mean, this is pretty amazing stuff. I don't know. I mean, is display important to you, too?
For sure, it's one of those things where I'd much rather have a higher res display, and I mean, obviously, this being Apple's premium lineup of devices, of laptops, I would expect it. What were you going to say, Andrew?
Oh no, I was just going to say, I think if anything, it's the wider color gamut. That's the big feature here, because people are already noticing it just on the iPhone, and that's a tiny screen where you're not doing professional level work. But the difference between knowing exactly what the color and light levels are and getting so close to it that it's almost exactly right, and getting it exactly right, because the pros, they want something that's exactly right, and also for the simple reason that it just looks nicer when you see that there are transitions on the edges of that cloud in the sky of this picture that you're taking, or this piece of artwork that you're creating. And you don't necessarily see it even on the $400 calibrated Dell screen that you have connected next to it. That's a big deal. And they've added a lot of different little reasons that will add up to a creative person or a professional wanting to have this, as opposed to the one killer feature like the form factor of the Surface Studio, where there are a lot of features to it, but that's the one killer feature that will get people to think, oh, I really want that. This is with the new MacBook Pros, it's more like, here's a list of 8 things that individually wouldn't get you to want to buy a brand new MacBook this year, but as a total package, maybe they'll really get you into the win column.
And what about the ports? It's the Thunderbolt 3 port. There were ports on either side for convenience.
Multiples.
There's
so many ports.
There's still a headphone jack or a microphone jack there. They did not take that away. Any thoughts on the ports?
I think ports is incredibly important, and the fact that they added 4 here is going to make a lot of professionals happy. They also, they really mentioned it in passing. We may have even been talking over it when they mentioned it, but they showed off the 5K displays made by LG, designed for the new MacBook Pro. I don't even think they had a price on those. But I mean, you're driving 2 5K monstrous displays out of this little laptop. If that isn't an indication of the professional level of the laptop.
Yeah, that was such a specific image. They really want. I think that the entire presentation they started with when they're doing the thumbnail sketches. Here's a thumbnail sketch. We want a big desk. We want the product in the middle of it. Then we want at least 2 screens connected to it. We want a pro level video camera connected to it. We want like a mixing console connected to it. We want to show a RAID connected to it all at the same time, so that people who are doing music and video and images for a living will understand that, okay, this can be really a professional thing. This is not just a souped up MacBook Air.
Yep. And someone just said in chat, and then the name rolled away, but that it's possible that driving those 2 5K displays is only capable with the souped up specs of the 15-inch, not the 13-inch. So if you want to do that, you're going to have to pony up for that.
The $4,500. All-day battery life, which is great because my 2-year-old's MacBook just died after we've been sitting here how long? An hour and 40 minutes? Maybe that's a sign. It's like, I heard you talking about getting a new MacBook.
And I'm rebelling. They showed off Final Cut, Photoshop, Algorithms, DJ to kind of, I don't know, I guess that was more along the lines of what the OLED strip can do. And again, remains to be seen on how useful that strip is in those contexts. But hopefully, I mean, I imagine if somebody's going to kind of have the smarts and the technology to kind of prove that, Adobe's going to be able to do it, and that's going to appeal to creatives right there.
Well, yeah. Anything else?
I think the other part of this was just where I'm confused is the whole MacBook Air kind of crossover thing. I don't know what this spells for the future of MacBook Air. Do you have any thoughts on that, Andy?
MacBook Air was always going to be dead-ended. I mean, if Apple were interested in putting a higher definition display, a Retina display in those, they would have done it earlier. I think that somewhere on a whiteboard in Cupertino is, well, there's no point in really reinventing the MacBook Air at this point, because we know that we're going to be replacing it with a MacBook Nothing that has a totally different internal architecture. We may as well throw away the entire thing rather than just make incremental changes to it. So I think that if they keep the MacBook Air name, it'll be something completely different. It'll be more like the low-end device that they showed off today.
Right.
What I'm more concerned about, the only thing I'm concerned about after today is you heard me talk about the new flatter keyboard. That on the MacBook Nothing, that was the deal breaker for me. It was the thing that if I were considering buying it, that's the reason why I definitely would not have bought it, because even after using it for 2 or 3 weeks while I was reviewing it, my fingers just never enjoyed the experience compared to any other keyboard. I just bought a $12 Chinese keyboard from eBay that arrived today to connect to something else, and had to note that I actually like typing on that better than I like typing on the keyboard in the MacBook Nothing. They did mention I've got 3 or 4 questions that are being fired off to Apple as we speak, or as more specifically as you people spoke right now. But one of the questions they did mention during the keynote that they've made a change and a little flurry of things before they went out to the OLED the touchpad display, talking about how there's a better sense of key travel. No mention as to how they achieve that, whether there is actually more key travel on this keyboard, or if they've done some sort of a trick to make your fingers have more of a sensation that, okay, I've pushed down a button and now I can actually lift off and go into the next key. Because I'm afraid to say that if all the new and the future MacBooks have the same keyboard feel as the MacBook Nothing, fortunately, I'm not due to buy another MacBook for another year or 2 at least. That would definitely drive me towards a Windows notebook, because all I'm doing is typing, and I just don't like that flat keyboard. It's kind of galling to me, because that's why I made quite a bit of sport earlier in the presentation about, it's 3 millimeters thinner. My life begins anew now. The hell of my life, and having a MacBook that was 3 millimeters thicker is now over with. That's not significant. It's not productive. It's not something that has any sort of bearing on whether I can carry this thing around or not. But making a thicker keyboard that has a better sense and a more comfortable sense, that is a productive thing that will make this thing better for me to use. So it is a little bit galling to me that Apple is fixated on making the Pro devices thinner and thinner and thinner, when I could I would much rather hear them say, we didn't make it, we had an opportunity to make it 3 millimeters thicker, but then immediately we thought, we could fill that space with extra battery. So congratulations, this now has 2 more hours of battery life. So Who knows? Who cares?
Between those two sides, I wonder which extra feature resonates most with the general. Like, I understand for you, you make your living writing and typing, and so obviously that makes sense. I think a lot of people would possibly side on the battery side of things, just because battery is so important to keeping the device alive longer. Let's say. So I wonder where that would stand. Or I haven't really had a lot of chance to play around with the butterfly keyboard. And of course, like you said, they've touted that this has an improved butterfly mechanism underneath. So hopefully that improves the experience a little bit more. But once we get one in house, we'll have to test it out and see.
Yeah, and now everyone who was at the event is going into like the piano bar area to play
piano?
with the. I don't know if there's a piano there, but I know all their devices are there. So probably online you'll get a lot of hands-on reviews at this point. Hands-on meaning just like they got to play with it while they're in line, pushing other people aside and just touching it.
That's always hysterically funny when you see this first review. What the MacBook? So you're in a room with 100 other people. You had 18 seconds before someone shoved you out of the way. The fact that you got a picture of yourself, you got 30 seconds of video. It's like even after the Microsoft event yesterday, which was more low key, it's like I think that you should have a separate room just for people who need to shoot their 2 minutes of clips for their YouTube channel because you'll have it on a sofa. So, okay, you have 2 minutes to make it look like you had a private moment with this as opposed to a crush. And those of us who are ink-stained wretches don't have to say, excuse me, you're in my shot. That's because I'm actually trying to see what the ports are in the back. I don't care about your shot, sir.
Man, that makes me not ever want to go to an Apple event.
You step out of the way. I have to have my hand puppet actually looking at this thing. No, you don't. You need to be collecting information so you can impart useful information to your readers. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm old. Yeah. I'm old-fashioned. So I'm sorry. I know.
Well, I guess that's it. I guess we don't have anything else to say.
Except that, I mean, good or bad, we will be buying one. So I'm sure I'll talk all about it when we get one because we've been waiting for an update.
No, don't say that. That's Apple. That's what Apple's counting on.
I know. Look, I'm not speaking for myself. This is my wife's purchase entirely, and I know this is what she's been waiting for. So I know we're getting one
with the touchpad.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I could float that by her, but at this point, she is really dead set on getting a laptop that's going to last as long as possible. Pay the cost up front and make sure that it lasts for years. So she might end up getting the 15 inches result. So we'll see.
All right. Any last words, Andy?
Touch ID, also a really cool thing.
Right.
All in all, it's a really, really cool upgrade. They made a lot of significant things. So I know people keep complaining that, why doesn't it have this new CPU? This is one of the reasons why they like to sort of reinvent. They don't like to simply update and refresh. And if they were just refreshing it, we would have seen a press release on a Tuesday morning instead of an event like this. So very, very good, very, very compelling device.
Well, Andy Anatko at Anatko on Twitter. And where's the best place to find you, your work?
You can find my columns on the Chicago Sun-Times site. You can also go to anatko.com for occasional blogging and links to stuff that I'm writing. But Anatko on Twitter, Anatko on Instagram are also good places to go.
I'm sure we'll hear your seasoned after a little less than a week insight on all this stuff on MacBreak Weekly next Tuesday.
I'll be just as angry, but probably a little bit more clever.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andy.
All right. Thanks, Andy. And I guess that's it. I'm Megan Maroney.
And I'm Jason Howell. You aren't going to be on Tech News today, but I will be. I'm going to be here with Ron Richards, so we're going to talk all about this stuff and a whole lot more. But twit.tv/specials for all the fun stuff that we do covering these live events. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.